Evidence shows the North won because of the contributions blacks made to the Union cause. One of the Union's experiments involved using black troops for combat duty. Blacks had offered themselves as soldiers in 1861 but had been turned away. They were serving as cooks, teamsters, and carpenters in the army, however, and composed as much as a quarter of the Navy. But as white casualties mounted, so did the interest in black service on the battlefield. The Union government allowed states to escape draft quotas if they enlisted enough volunteers, and they allowed them to count Southern black enlistees on their state rosters. Northern governors grew increasingly interested in black military service. Beyond white self-interest lay the promises of the Emancipation Proclamation and the desire to prove blacks' value to the Union. Black leaders like Frederick Douglass pressed for military service. By the war's end, 186,000 blacks, 10% of the army, had served the Union cause. 134,111 of them escapees from the slave states.
It is clear that the slaves did contribute significantly to their own freedom by running from masters to become contrabands for the Union, laboring behind the scenes for northern armies, and risking their lives on the battlefront. The slaves centralized the issue of freedom and played a key role in the North's victory. As slave masters in the South grew fearful of losing slaves to the Union armies, they implemented harsher restrictions upon their slaves, often moving the entire plantation further inland to avoid northern contact. These changes, however, only caused the slaves to flee, and those that did stay demanded more freedom from their masters. In this way, the slaves gained some power in this situation, forcing masters to make offerings in exchange for labor.
Lincoln's Second Confiscation Act and the Militia Act, both of 1862, were significant in building the Northern Army because together they punished the rebel slaveholders and encouraged employment of blacks in the Union Army.
If we are good enough to fill up white men's places and fight, we should be treated then, in all respects, the same as the white man, one black soldier protested. Yet even whites who were working to equalize black and white pay often considered blacks inferior. The Army's racial experiment had mixed results, but the faithful and courageous services of black troops helped modify some of the most demeaning white racial stereotypes of blacks. The black soldiers, many of them former slaves who conquered the South, felt a sense of pride and dignity as they performed their duties. Wrote one, "We marched through these fine thoroughfares, where once the slave was forbidden out after 9 p.m. Negro soldiers, with banners floating."
Since the proclamation only affected estates in rebellion, it didn't actually free any slaves. What it did do, however, was strengthen the Northern war effort. They now were fighting for a cause. By the end of the Civil War, over 500,000 slaves had escaped to the North, many of whom joined the Union Army, greatly increasing its manpower. The Emancipation Proclamation also led to the 13th Amendment, enacted on December 18, 1865, which legally freed all slaves still in bondage.